Howdy folks, it's Adriel, the hunting gear guy. I wanted to show you guys this Stoeger M3500. This is a 3.5-inch Magnum shotgun that is semi-automatic, made in Turkey, and 2 magazine fed. This is a really great option if you're looking for a 3-gun shotgun or for something to take duck hunting. Let's take a closer look at this thing. But first, let's just check to make sure that it's safety checked. There is nothing in the chamber, and I have nothing in my magazine, so I'm ready to go. At the rear here, we just have this standard polymer buttstock. We've got a pretty squishy ventilated pad at the back here, which is pretty good. That's a lot better than some of the other shotguns out there. We have a molded in sling stud that I don't really like. I'd rather see a metal unit there. And the grip is adequate. I wouldn't say it's like incredibly sharp, but it's adequate to hold on to the shotgun. Now let's go over the controls really quickly. We've got a real simple cross bolt safety at the rear of the trigger here, so nothing too crazy about that. We've got our charging handle up at the front here. It's nice and small, so if you want to go duck hunting with this, it's good. If you want a 3-gun, you might want to get an extended charging handle. Right now, it'll just continue to cycle and it won't lock the bolt back. If you press this button back here, if there is a round in the tube, it will release the round. Otherwise, it's just going to lock it so that we can lock this bolt to the rear. Now, once the bolt is locked to the rear and you want to feed a shell in through the open ejection port and then have the bolt go forward, you're just going to push this button right here that's towards the front. That's your bolt release. Right at the bottom here, we have a really nice charging port. This is very easy to push down, which is great for loading. It's also pretty large because it has to fit 3.5-inch shells, which is kind of nice. So it's actually very quick and easy to load this shotgun with shells. Just on the fore end here, this particular Stoeger is the 28-inch barrel, so it's quite long. They come in a 26 and a 24 as well. We have our fore end here. Again, not incredibly grippy checkering here, but adequate. Our magazine cap with a steel sling swivel at the end. And we have this really nice raised rib that's going along the top. Now this is going to help with mirage because when your barrel gets hot, you're going to get heat waves off there. And if you didn't have a rib on there, it might get a little bit wavy and hard to see. But with this raised rib on here, it's going to keep that mirage out of your point of view. It's also very well checkered on the top here so that it isn't going to give you any glare from the sunlight. The barrel is also tapped for chokes, and it comes with 4 chokes. It comes with improved cylinder, modified, full, and an extra full turkey choke. Now disassembly is pretty straightforward, but there is one little trick I want to show you. First, I'm just going to remove my magazine cap. And as it's coming out, because it's kind of pinching, so if you were to just hold these and pull it out, it's not going to come out all the way. And that's because it's just pinching a little bit there. So remove the bolt a little bit and just kind of wiggle it and it'll come out. There's our fore end. I'm just going to put that off to the side. There's our barrel. I'm going to put that off to the side. Let's keep disassembling this thing. Now to remove the charging handle from the bolt, what we're going to do is just push down on the bolt until it starts to rotate, and then we're going to lever that charging handle out. It's a little bit stiff to start with, so you're going to have to really muscle it. As long as the bolt's forward, you'll be fine. With that, our bolt and action spring are going to come out. Now this is one place that this differs from the Benelli M2, where the Benelli has the recoil spring in the buttstock. This one has it out front on the magazine tube, which is a bit simpler and obviously a little bit cheaper. So this is the bolt here, and you can see here it's got a bit of a rotate in there. The next piece we have to pull out is this pin. Now yours might be pinned in, mine isn't. If it is pinned in, this little hole here can be used to drive it out the other side. Mine's so loose that I can just kind of flip it out there and it comes right out. With that, the bolt will come out, as will the firing pin spring and the recoil spring that helps with the inertial action. This spring here is really strong, and this is what helps provide that kick off that makes the whole action work. Now to remove the firing pin, what we're going to need to do is pull out this pin at the back here. Just use a precision screwdriver and get underneath there. Careful, because there's a little bit of a rubber washer on there. And then pull it right out the back. And with that, the firing pin will just come out the rear. And now you can clean your bolt assembly. Although you don't really need to all that often, because this bolt is a very clean bolt. It's not like a gas action. All of the gas goes out the barrel, so this is going to stay nice and clean for you. To reassemble, we're going to put that firing pin in. Grab our pin, put it in the side. Now it's captured. Put our firing pin spring around the firing pin, complete with our inertial spring. Bolt goes on. And if you just need to remember, the extractor will always face the ejection port. You always want to make sure that the shells go out that way. So that's where your grabber will always go in. Look at these fancy technical terms I'm using. So push in your bolt and drop that pin in. And you should see that rotating action come back. And your bolt is reassembled. I'm not going to do this one right now, but if you want to, just pull this rubber cap off. Underneath there is a metal retaining clip. If you've got some snap ring pliers, or you can even just lever it out with a flat head screwdriver, you'll be able to then pull it out. Be careful though, because it is going to be under a lot of pressure. This is a semi-automatic. It needs a lot of spring pressure to make sure that those rounds keep up with the action. To reassemble, grab your spring and carrier/action rod piece here. Pop your bolt on top and just kind of wiggle it into the action. Once you've got that, push your bolt face in, grab your charging handle, pop it in there. So this next part's a little bit tricky, because between the forend and the barrel, it's going to pinch right here. So we need to leave them a little bit loose so we can get the whole thing together. So what we're going to do is, as we're putting in that magazine tube, we're going to keep it a little bit loose, or a lot loose. Pop that guy in there, and then you can start clamping them together and putting them in. I'm going to use gravity to help me out here. And again, you're pulling back the bolt as it's going in. If it feels a little bit too tight, just try it again. There we go. So you need to try it a couple times to get it in there, but I can see that my stopper here is right up against the receiver, so that's as far as it'll go. And lastly, throw on your magazine cap. Now, just some accessories that come with this shotgun. What I can't show you is the weaver rail that goes on the top. It's already pre-drilled and tapped, and it comes with the weaver rail. And I can't show you the drop-in cast. That's because my shotgun was used and it didn't come with those accessories. But it does come with this turkey choke. You can see it looks a little bit rough, and that's because it's got this black finish on it. You can see that it's extended, so it'll go past the end of the barrel. We've also got our chokes here. So we've got improved cylinder, modified, and full. So these are the ones that you'll be using normally when you're not hunting turkey. We've also got this choke wrench that you can use to pull your chokes out. The last accessory I want to talk about is if you're shooting 3.5-inch shells only, you might want to look at using this steel weight. This goes into the buttstock, and the entire idea here is that it makes your gun heavier so it kicks less. Now, if you're using 3.5s, you can go ahead and use this. If you're using 2 3/4 target loads, what you're going to find is that you're going to have cycling problems, because this shotgun is made to work with recoil, and this is going to pull some of that recoil away from it.
All right, let's compare 3.5, 3-inch, and 2 3/4. The lightest to heaviest.
And one thing I noticed with the Stoeger was that the cycle time was a little bit slower than some of the other guns I've fired. So I found that I could actually outrun the bolt just pulling the trigger really fast. This isn't really an issue when hunting or even competitively shooting, but if you are trying to blaze it out really quickly, you may find that you can pull the trigger and drop the hammer before the bolt's all the way forward, and therefore won't get that last shot off and your bolt will be down. So just keep that in mind when you're shooting this shotgun. I'm just going to show that happening to me in this next clip here. I got to admit, there's absolutely no reason for this clip. I just thought it looked really cool, and I really love seeing this shell fly by. So just pure gratuitous slow motion for no reason. Sorry, guys.
Okay, let's see how many we can get into this Stoeger. So I've got the plug out. We're just gonna load up 5 in here and see where that takes us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the 6th one won't go in. What we're going to do here, pull back. I'm going to put one to the chamber, and we're going to put one onto the lifter. I'm going to ease it forward, push the lifter down, just like so, and make sure it clears the bolt, and then let go. Let's see how many shots we get off now. 7 rounds.
Now just to talk a little bit about uses for this thing. Now this one's in all black, but these also come in a camouflage finish. There's a couple of them that they'll have. That makes this a great goose or duck gun because it takes 3.5-inch shells, it's semi-automatic, and if you're shooting hunting loads, it's 100% reliable. It's using a really reliable inertial system to actuate the semi-automatic. It's not using gas, and gas can just get a little bit carboned up, and it doesn't work the best when you get a whole bunch of water and muck and that kind of thing in them. It's really clean, and again, like I don't know how many times I can say it, but it's very reliable. So if you're looking at a duck and goose gun, this is definitely one of the ones to look at a lower price point in a semi-automatic 3.5-inch shell. So there's a bunch of things that go along with that, but it is one of the few inertial driven ones that you can find at this price point. And that's primarily because it is using that Benelli system. I mean, Benelli and Beretta are all and Stoeger are all owned by the same company. So that's why you're starting to see these inertial systems in kind of like a fighting brand for Benelli, so that they can get out there and get a little bit more action. Now, I'm going to do a separate video on kitting this thing out for 3-gun, but a couple of things that I noticed just shooting it were there's along this loading port on the bottom, it is kind of sharp. Now, I shoot and reload with weak hands, so when I'm loading up, I'm popping my thumb down here, and I've actually got a little bit of I don't know, a bruise, but a callus from hitting my knuckle against the edge of this port. So I'm going to be dremeling down this port so that it's not so killer on my thumb, and to open it up so that it's easier to load shot shells in there. A couple other things that you might want to do: get a bigger safety because the safety is kind of small. Get a bigger charging handle because it is, again, kind of small. And bolt release because it's very hard to hit this tiny little button in the heat of the moment. All in all, though, for the price point, this is a lot of shotgun for the money. I'm going to be using this one in 3-gun, and I've got quite a few shotguns that I could be picking from, but I'm going to be running with this guy for 3-gun because it is 3.5-inch, and in Canada that gives us a big advantage on shell capacity. So I'm going to be running it this year, and I'll let you know as it goes along. Thanks for watching, and if you like reviews like this, please hit the subscribe button.